I'd like to talk about improving the public education system using a free market idea, a free market approach to providing equal opportunity, or base opportunity, I should say, to every student for their education. The idea is to improve the value of their learning, and I'd like to go into what it looks like, the implementation, and then show you at the end a picture of what the system looks like in practice. Alright, so let's continue. We're going to have some specialization. Some people are better at some things than others. There are some people that are really good at discipline. I mean, really effective. They come across as very respectful, but very firm, and students respect them. They understand them. They keep the students on track. They help the students understand the perspective. There are some people that are really good at instruction, and others that are super good at tutoring or creating tests. Some people are really, really good at creating tests. Others, I have seen some amazing, I've seen a lot of really, really bad ones, but I've seen a lot of amazing activities, worksheets, lessons. So the idea that in the current public system we have one generalized teacher who does all of this. The teacher will create their own and administer their own tests. They'll create and administer their own lessons and presentations. They'll, not so much tutoring, but sometimes they do after school. They'll identify and administer their own discipline. And that, all of that really works against the student's best interests. In part because no teacher is really super good at all of these things, and in part because having to do all of these things undermines the teacher's effectiveness. If you are really, really hard on discipline, and you're not good at it especially, then you could really undermine all of the other things you're trying to do. Students might not like you, and they may hate you because of your discipline. So the idea that, and with testing, a teacher that gives super easy tests so that the students get good grades and look good and looks like the teacher is teaching really, really well, and it undermines their teaching. It undermines their testing and the ability of the students and parents to know how well they're learning the material. You have a bad test, poorly written, and it's not understood very well, then you don't really get to see how well the student understands even what's being asked. So on all these fronts, really, there needs to be a system where people can specialize in what they're good at, and where they can look across the board at others that are good at other things, and they can see the reviews, they can see the ratings, and know which services they want to use. So if I'm a teacher and I want a really good lesson, I look at the reviews for the lessons, and the lessons might have reviews from teachers, might have reviews, separate reviews from students, separate reviews from parents, and I could say, all right, this one's got lesson has a really good review from the teachers, but the students hate it. Or maybe the students love it, but the parents hate it. Or maybe everybody loves it, but the testing by the students that receive those lessons has really poor results. Okay, so I could look at all the ratings and to determine which lessons I wanted. I choose the lessons that I want. Maybe I have a favorite author who always creates good lessons, and so, I always choose them. But that author becomes popular, the author of the lessons, and charges more for their lessons in the next year. And so then I have to balance, okay, do I want to pay more for the lessons? And the teacher pays more for the lessons. It takes away from the bottom line and the fees they charge for the students. So then they have to make free market decisions. They have to balance the cost versus the quality. And if they skimp on the quality, then they look bad because the students, maybe test poorly or rate them poorly. So they're going to choose lessons that make them look good in testing and in ratings and so forth. By the students, by the parents, basically everybody rates them well. So it's a nice balance that they would be looking for. Let's see. All right. Tutors would not necessarily be grown individuals, like adults, but it could also be kids as well. Some kids are exceptionally bright and good at tutoring. So they might enter the free marketplace offering their services with their fees, and maybe adults would have a hard time competing with it because students might get rated really, really good for their tutoring, but be charging lower fees. And maybe the students might raise their fees to get adult level kinds of fees, and really do well. And maybe they could use those fees in helping other students to apply towards other things that they need, like counseling. Maybe they're going through a hard time where their mother or father passed away, or grandfather, and they need counseling, so they can use the fees from their tutoring to supplement and add or contribute into the free market educational system, and get more of something that they need. So, and maybe there are some students that are really good at creating lessons for things that they are really, really proficient at. Maybe a high school senior creates lessons for 5th grade math because they're really, really good at creating lessons. So in this way, it's not just adults that get paid for their work. Students will be able to submit things, and if they submitted quality stuff, they could get really good ratings and have more money. So the base opportunity would be that every student gets a set amount of money, and on top of that, whatever they can earn or whatever their parents can put into the system, that's just more services for them, and everyone else that's paid for all these services benefits as well. So kind of a recap on this education marketplace: it applies to students and professionals. So the students get rated, professionals get rated. Everyone gets rated for their services. Everyone gets rated for their performance. Students are bad students, they get bad ratings. Professionals would then review those ratings, so those ratings and reviews, and say, I don't want those students. So the professional gets to choose who's accepted into their class, or who's accepted to receive their services and who isn't. Very much a freedom and opportunity-based system, and very free. So the pay would be service-based. So if a teacher had 10 students in their class, and then one student, they decide, you know what, I don't like that student, is not going to be in my class anymore. The teacher then prorates their fees so that the time that they don't have the student in their class, they're going to be paid for 9 students in their class. They take a pay hit. So there's the freedom of saying I don't want the student versus the loss of income. It's something that you have to balance. Do I really not like this kid enough that I don't want his fee? Right? Is this student really making the class bad enough that it reflects so poorly on me that these other students are going to rate me really, really bad? Right? So there's always a balance. It gives you lots of freedoms, but the consequence is if the interaction doesn't go well, or if you're not rated well, then you don't get the fees. You don't get paid for it. You can't offer the services, or at least people don't want them. All right. So the implementation would look something like this. The professionals or students advertise their services and their pricing schedules. Students and parents, because students would be minors, review the ratings and decide what their needed services are. Equal money goes to each student, and the students apply towards the educational services that the parents and students decide. Being minors, students can't make their own decisions. They, basically the parent is the one that makes the decision, but they would probably do it together. Unless the parent just wanted to say, nope, you're going to have this teacher because great ratings and I want you to learn. Well, whatever the case is, they decide. The decision would be made probably in conjunction with a counselor who helps them decide what services they need, what services they have to have at a minimum. It'd be kind of like figuring out, hey, I need 3 credits of math, I need 4 credits of science. The counselor would help them determine what they have to have. More into counselors later. Let's see. Yeah, the professionals could, reject the applications, but if they only get 11 applications, they want 10 people. They can only reject one. Otherwise, well, they'll have less than 10, and their income would be less than what they wanted. So, maybe they lower their rates in order to get more applicants. So that's all the free market, their cost. No contracts, all at will. So if something doesn't work out, very agile system. Allows people to basically engage in and disengage in services at will. Alright, so this is what it looks like in picture form. We've got different sections, and here's really only where the administrator comes in. The administrator doesn't say, I'm going to discipline the students. So you're not going in front of the principal's office. The disciplinarian takes care of that. So as you can see here, there's a disciplinarian watching the classroom. Maybe they have a video camera, maybe they're in person in the classroom, or they walk in and out with the classroom, whatever the case is. They are chosen by the teacher. So the teacher makes sure that they have the disciplinarian they want to make sure their classroom is good. And so they would choose the disciplinarian according to their fees and their ratings. The students and parents would be choosing the disciplinarian that they want to handle that student, who's most effective with that student. So then the student would go to disciplinarian of their choice, as you can see here. A testing hall would be administered by the testers. This is where the administration would step in on the testers that they want. The administration would be stepping in on who for the testers would be creating the tests. So they might choose someone that doesn't live in their local area. They might choose someone in another state across the country that creates awesome tests. Okay. And then of course standardized tests would also be administered in this testing hall, and the students would rate, the testing hall and how easy it was to focus, how good the testing experience was, and of course their grades and the test would be part of the rating. The administrators would have to allocate space for all of these different areas, and the counselors and the disciplinarians would decide which rewards the students were able to get for good behavior, good grades, good performance, or what negative things would be put onto their discipline if they were bad. So this isn't just red, this is red, and good is green too. Alright, so this is the free market education, and in part modeled by the colleges and universities. Hope you enjoy this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, rate, share. Have a great day.